Hello and welcome to Gin with Gwynne. I'm Oliver Gwynne, and this is where I give you my off-the-cuff thoughts about data marketing and philosophy. This week, I wanted to explain a little bit about advertisers and their relationship to you and how sometimes CPM and CAC going up can actually be a good thing. So if you're unfamiliar, CPM is cost per milli or cost per mil, depending on how you want to pronounce that. And it's how much it costs you to show your ad to 1,000 people. And CAC or CAC is cost of acquisition. So how much it costs you to acquire a customer. And I don't think a lot of people kind of understand how the algorithm works and what Google is trying to do to make money for itself. And so a good analogy I found on this is that your business is like an empty bus. And Google is trying to fill your bus with 6 people. Now, Google doesn't give a shit if those people are homeless people or millionaires or whatever. They're just trying to fill the bus. They've got no context about how much those people are worth to you in most circumstances, unless you manually put in there, oh, these people are worth 20 quid to me. Then they're not going to have any clue of that. They will have some clue just, through your business and all of that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, they don't care if they put 6 homeless people on your bus or 6 millionaires on your bus. They're just trying to fill that bus as quickly as possible so that they can get the bus out of there and then they will get their money. But of course, to you, that matters a great deal because not all conversions are worth the same. You really want the millionaires on your bus. You don't want the homeless people on the bus. And this is where you have first-party data that would say, hey, Emily is worth £4 to me. Oliver is worth £2 to me. I want more of Emily and less of Oliver. That's the whole thing I've talked about time and time again about you leverage your first-party data to then get more high-value customers onto the bus. But you also have to think of it from Google's point of view. So Google, you're saying to Google that your people are worth £4. And generally speaking, it knows that the people who have more money, they can get more money for attracting those people. And it can only show so many ads to so many people in a day. So if Google has 100 people, let's say, and you're paying it £4 and somebody else is paying it £8, not even necessarily in the same market, not necessarily for the same services or anything, not even your competitors who are outbidding you. I'm just talking purely there's 100 people that they can advertise to and somebody's paying twice as much as you are. They're going to reserve that slot of advertising to the people who are going to pay more. And so generally speaking, what you will always often see is if you put a tighter barrier to your targeting, you will see a couple of things happen. Your cost per milli will go up. So your cost per milli is how much it costs you to show to 1,000 people. And you'll generally see that cost will go higher. And what will happen is actually that your click-through rate will go up and your conversions will typically go up because as a general rule of thumb, the people with more money are more likely to spend on anything, any brand, any category, anything. And so as your cost per million, your cost per acquisition go up, sometimes that can actually be a good thing because it means that you're attracting higher value people who are more likely to spend with you as a general rule of thumb. Now, the problem comes for a lot of brands where when you look at your high value cohorts, they're all the same people because as a general rule of thumb, rich people have more money. I know, it's a crazy thing to say. I've said this before, actually. But rich people have more money. And so they can only be targeted by so many brands and everybody wants the same people. And so what you're trying to do is find the cheapest possible people to get on the bus who will have the highest acquisition cost over time. But in some cases, cost per million going up is actually a good thing. It represents the fact that the algorithm is not just showing to any old person, any old crappy person to get them on the bus. They're going to higher value people, which is good for you. But there has to be a reference point where the cost is going up and the quality is going up, and you want to have a nice medium in between those two things. So cost per million going up can be positive reasons for a couple of reasons. It can be stronger demand for your audience. I say that's positive because it shows that there's category interest. It shows that there is generally interest in what you're doing and the area that you're in. There's more advertisers competing for the same people. I guess it's bad for you in a way. It seems like it's bad, but it also is a positive thing because it means that those people can be reached by advertising, which is not always the case for everything. I've seen that time and time again. Sometimes it goes up because it means that you've improved the targeting through your data, through better segmentation, through having a higher barrier. I specialize in high barrier when I'm dealing with ads because I am quite happy to pay a higher amount if it means I'm getting the perfect people. But it can also mean higher engagement or time spent. So audience proves that they're more valuable to your business, and so you're paying more for them. There's also a couple of other reasons. So seasonality, so holiday ad spend spikes, platform level price inflation, so algorithm changes, auction pressure, can also put those things up. I think in some cases that's artificial, depending on what's going on in the world. It can also be a reduced supply of impressions, which drives up bid prices. So again, they can only serve so many adverts to so many people in the day. Time is finite. There's only so many spots available. It feels like we're all being advertised all the bloody time, though, doesn't it? And so with a finite amount of impressions available, the price will go up in certain categories. So if your CPM is rising and your performance is strong, that means that your audience is in high demand. And sometimes that also means that you can leverage that for premium pricing. If your CPM is rising, but performance is flat or declining, check if the advertisers are sort of overpaying or if there's some sort of supply side issues that might exist. If your CPM is rising seasonally for holidays, it's probably a temporary spike, not necessarily audience driven. But CPM is a useful metric to sort of understand who you're advertising to and the quality of those users. It's not the die-hard thing I would live or die by. Alone, it doesn't equal profitability. You need to tie it through to click-through rates. So as I said, often CPM goes up, click-through rate will also go up. So a bad thing seemingly and a good thing. Cost per click, again, you'll probably see that cost per click going up as CPM goes up. And then cost per acquisition, what you want to do is find a nice balance. And typically you want to see sort of a staircasing of those costs where you find the right audience, your costs go up, and then you flatline it across there. And over time, it should go down as you naturally improve the algorithm with your own data. A higher CPM with weak performance could suggest overvaluation, and that might be cases where you're telling it, hey, my audience is worth £1,000, but actually they're not necessarily worth that. So that's how to think about these things. And always remember that Google is trying to advertise, get the most money out of acquiring customers for you and not just the other way around. It's trying to make sure that it has 1,000 buses that it's trying to fill every single day, and it only makes sense to put the highest value people with the people who will pay it, the 1,000 people who will pay it the highest to get the people on the bus. So sometimes CAC going up can be a good thing, and sometimes CPM can be a good thing. The problem generally is that there are silos in your data. So you've got one side, which is your first-party data and what those people are worth for you, and most of you are not connecting that to your ads. I think because people are a little bit afraid that if you're honest with Google and everybody, that they'll be like, oh, it's worth this much to you. Cool, I know I can definitely spend up to this and it's worth it for you and you're making a profit, which is a danger and a worry. And over time, that will generally happen if you keep those ads running over a long time. But I won't worry so much that is a really good way of actually reducing CAC, is if you show it exactly who your audience is, because there's a lot less wastage in who you're serving your ads to. And you know that the people who do convert are much more likely to spend over the long term with you. And that's why it's important to focus on lifetime value and not what Google gets you, which is conversions, aka first party click. There's purchases, which are not necessarily representative of the lifetime value. Everybody always spends a lot less with a new brand and a first-time purchase. So those are why sometimes CPM going up can be a good thing, how that relates and how to think of Google as sort of filling your empty bus. Hope this was useful and interesting. Let me know if you've got any questions in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching another Gin with Gwynne.